Hey guys, it's Corinne from It's So Corinne, and for today's tutorial we will be making this DIY fabric chapstick holder that has a clip that can be clipped onto most bags or your belt loops. Now before we begin this video, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the It's So Corinne YouTube channel so you get alerts when I make new content just like this. And if you would like to see step-by-step instructions with pictures and snag the free pattern, head on over to my blog at itsocorinne.com. Now to begin the project, we need a few supplies. First on the list is quilting cotton. You can get away with 1/8 of a yard of quilting cotton because this project is super small. But I like to do 2 contrasting colors, as you can tell from my holder, but you could totally go with just one if you preferred. Next on the list is fusible interfacing, and again you only need like 1/8 of a yard because this is the only piece that we use for the whole entire project. Next on the list, you are going to need some sort of clips or pins to hold it all together as we're assembling it. And then you would need matching thread for your machine, and then you need some sort of turning device. I use this plastic chopstick to turn, well, pretty much anything that I make where I sew, but you can buy the turning tool at Joann or Hobby Lobby, or you can use whatever you normally use to turn your sewing projects. And lastly, you are going to need some sort of hook for your project. Now you can use a swivel hook, like a sewing swivel hook, and that is totally doable, but I wanted something different. So I went with this plastic hook and a split ring, which I put on at the end. But you can also use one of these cute Carabiner hooks if you would like, and you could just slip that on afterwards instead of the other hook, if that is your preference, okay? Now, once you have gathered your supplies, we are ready to begin. The first step that you are going to do to make your super cute DIY fabric chapstick holder is to make the tab. Now, we are going to make the tab exactly like you would make bias tape. If you've never made bias tape before, it's not hard at all. All you want to do is take your tab piece and fold it in half, and then we are going to press that, and then you're going to open it up, and you're going to fold in the 2 sides to the center middle line. And then without burning your fingers, press that. And then all you're gonna do is close up your little tab and make sure that the sides are even with each other and that nothing wonky has happened. And then you're gonna press it once more. And then once you have your little tab put it all together, you want to clip it or pin it together. I just put one because it's so tiny. So what we're going to do is move over to the sewing machine, and then you want to sew a top stitch super close to the edge down the side that's open first, and then you want to flip it and sew a top stitch over on that side. Once you have top stitched on both sides of your tab, all you want to do is fold it in half and then press it. And then we are going to set this aside for just a minute as we go on to the next step. So you see how it's folded in half, and that made the loop for whatever type of ring that you have chosen. So the next step is we are going to add interfacing to our front outside piece. And what I like to do before I interface is iron the fabric, because I've had issues where I accidentally left a crease, and then once you put the interfacing on, that crease is there forever. So press your fabric first, and then you want to add your interfacing to it. Now, I have in the pattern to cut the interfacing the exact same size as the other 2 pieces, but what I like to do is trim down the interfacing just a little bit to reduce bulk in my seams. So I just simply trim it up just a little bit because bulky seams are hard for your machine to go over in the last step. So just roughly trimming it down. So what you're going to do is place your interfacing on. Make sure that the shiny sticky side is down towards the fabric so you don't accidentally iron it with your iron. And then you want to press the inner facing on according to the instructions that came with your Fusible interfacing. Now my instruction says to not use steam, but for some reason my iron won't stop steaming lately. So I'm using steam. So there's the interfacing on. So that piece is ready. And what we're gonna do is we are going to assemble our chapstick holder. So I'm just gonna press that real quick. So everything is pressed. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're going to lay your interior piece, and when I say interior piece, I mean this is the interior in my mind, and this is the outside, the exterior. So the interior piece, you want to lay that right side facing up towards you, and then you're going to take your tab and you're going to place it right here in the center of that. And I like to leave a little bit over the seam, so that way I can 100% guarantee that I am hitting it when I sew. And if you wanted to make it shorter than mine, you could always just push it past the seam even more. So this is the time where you need to decide, is that the location where you want your tab? Because you can totally move the tab anywhere you want. You could place it up here, or on this one, I placed it on the left side. So it really just depends on where you want it, because you can place it here, here, or here. So this is the time to decide. So you're going to, I always clip it first, so that way I know that it is secure as I am assembling these. And so you're going to take the outside piece and you're going to lay it right on top, and then you're going to start clipping or pinning it. And my blue clips down here are going to indicate where I want to leave my 1.5 inch turning hole right here. I like to do it further down, so that way when I'm folding it and I'm double sewing it, like the turning hole gets closed very good and reinforced. So we're just going to clip it all the way around and keep clipping. Uh-oh. Okay. And then what we're going to do is, I'm going to clip this one. The first one that I clipped, I'm going to hold the tab as I release it and then include the outside piece. Okay, so once you're clipped, we are ready to go to the machine. And what we're going to do is we're going to start right here and we're going to sew all the way around following the curve. So when you go here, you want to put your needle down and pivot your foot to go up to here, and then do the same thing. You want to pivot here, and pivot here, and then come back to your turning hole, and just make sure to reinforce your turning hole on both sides. That way it doesn't rip as we are turning the chapstick holder. Once you have finished sewing all the way around your chapstick holder, now all you need to do is trim up the seams. Make sure that you trim up this excess tab off. Otherwise it's going to make it harder later when you're sewing, because there's going to be a huge bump there. And I like to trim off all the edges of the corners. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your turning device and turn the chapstick holder through your turning hole right here. So you just want to use whatever you normally use and start working it. Oops, sorry, too close. Start working it through the turning hole until you have it completely turned out, and you want to push all the seams out, especially in the corners. Once you have turned your chapstick holder right side out, you want to press it really well, making sure that your turning hole size, the seam allowance for your turning holes, are inside and that they're pressed really well. This is my turning hole, and I just made sure that the sides line up, and I pressed it really, really well. Okay, so after you have pressed it, you are going to fold this bottom part up towards here. And you want to just make this little pocket 2 3/4. You want to fold it up 2 3/4 inches. So we're going to That's about right. And then what you're gonna do is clip or pin this. Get my clips over here. And you're gonna line up the sides, make sure. And see, this is why I did my turning hole so far down, so that way you would ensure that you are sewing through it. Of course, we are gonna top stitch the entire thing, so just gonna line up the sides like this, and then you are going to sew, give me another clip. You are going to sew a top stitch starting here. You're gonna sew all the way down, and you want to go back and reinforce this right here. So use your reverse button and go over this a couple times. And then you want to put your needle down here and pivot. And then when you get here, pivot again. And just like we did earlier, pivot again, and then again. And then when you get to this side, you're gonna sew all the way down, making sure to reinforce this right here, so that way when we put the chapstick in here later, it doesn't tear out, because it's gonna get, you know, stressed when you use it over and over again. Once you have top stitched your chapstick holder, all you have left to do is add your clip. Now, if you are adding a removable clip such as this, you can add it at the end, but if you are wanting to use the more traditional swivel hooks, you would need to add that earlier on when we were constructing it, before we sew it all together. Now, once you have the clip on, all you have to do is slip in your chapstick, and your chapstick is writing in style. Look how cute that is. It can be clipped to practically anything. Now, these are an amazing scrap buster because they use only like 1/8 of a yard of fabric and make great gifts such as stocking stuffers. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the It's So Corny YouTube channel. And be sure to come visit me at my blog at itssocorny.com. So until next time, go create something amazing.